Hello everyone and welcome to 2024. It is time to start the new Puma Cup season. I'm John Glover, part of Team Guroba, and this is our video commentary review of round 1 at Donington Park. Here's Woodstock. He's had a beautiful respray over the winter courtesy of Mark Jackson. Suzuki Champion Yellow, and wow does it pop. He looks showroom fresh. And boy does he look great. I'm really pleased with the finish. It looks fantastic. Thank you so much to Mark. Other things that we got done over the winter. Well, Woodstock spent a fair bit of time with Mark Hadfield from Team Hadfield Motorsport. Mark's been an absolute godsend. He knows Pumas inside out. He loves his motorsport. He's a really nice guy, and he's super talented when it comes to anything engineering related. So Mark was able to put on the power steering system for us. We didn't used to run it. We thought it was more beneficial to get a little bit of weight out of the car, and also I preferred the feel of having a heavier steering wheel. I got more feedback from the front tyres through the steering wheel without the power steering. Adding power steering is now mandatory in the Puma Cup, so this is my first time out with it. It took a bit of getting used to in qualifying. I wasn't 100% happy. I just felt that I'd lost that little bit of something from the front feel. Couldn't quite tell if I was understeering. It was just a little bit too sensitive for my liking, but it's the same for everyone. I will get used to it. But in addition to the power steering going on, Mark also did the front hubs for us. They were due to be done anyway from a maintenance point of view, but we've also gone for the longer wheel studs as well to make Mark Chappell's life a lot easier in the paddock, you know, when it comes to wheel changes and such like. So qualifying in the morning went pretty well. We did struggle with traffic. There's a lot of novice cross drivers out there. I was one once, so no problem with that, but it was a bit tricky to get a lap in. Qualifying kind of went to form, I suppose. Luke Johnson is the reigning Puma Cup champion, if we have one. He stuck it on pole. Jamie Clare in second, myself third, and Gareth Cotgrove fourth. Now, although there were only 4 Pumas out, which is a little disappointing because I know plenty of other people have got cars in build and ready to go, but for various reasons couldn't make it for this round. Although there's only 4 of us, the grid was really close. There was about 2.5 seconds between Luke on pole and Gareth in fourth, so we've all got everything to play for. So here we are, it's a rolling start, the lights have gone off, Mark's radioed me to say go, and look at the momentum, straight past Jamie on the grass, Luke in front of me, and I need to decide what to do. Shall I go for the gap on the left? Yeah, I will, because he's got bulked by that one in front of him, so I could outbrake him and get around the outside, but then there's a Mazda in my way. Gareth's in my mirror on the outside, Jamie flies back up the inside, and I come out of Redgate in third place, kind of fourth place, third place, because Gareth is right on my inside as we come down to the crane curves for the first time, and there's a car there, the grey one, a little bit slow and out of position, which squashed everyone up, and there goes Gareth down my inside at the old hairpin, and it's now a drag race up the hill. He's got a slightly better line, but I got a better exit and start coming back at him and chase all the way up the hill through the left at Schwantz. What's going to happen here? It's first lap of the race, John. Gareth's got the inside. Let him have the corner. It's far too early to be panel bashing at this stage. Now, whilst it's too early to be trading paint at this stage, I have made a conscious decision this year to be more aggressive in the first few laps. Reviewing my footage from previous races, I've given away far too much between laps 1 and 5 of any race, not just here at Donington Park. So it's a conscious decision, push on, take the gaps when they're there, be a bit more aggressive and up to speed so I don't have too much of a disadvantage once I actually get into my rhythm. Now, our race started in the early evening, 5:45 p.m, and you can see the sun glare there, and the driver cam shows it in my eyes. It really was a bit of a problem early on in the race. Could not see Mark and Mike on the pit wall, had no idea where they were, and at some times struggled to see the dashboard as well. With the gearbox that we run, we pull fifth gear more than we used to because we put some shorter ratios in, and listening for the 7,000 RPM limit is a little bit trickier now because I've also got a shiny new crash helmet. Can you see that? Maybe I'll talk about that in a minute because I just got a really good run through the old hairpin, and it's given me a run on Gareth up here, and I'm still gaining on him. Where am I going to go? Shall I go for the inside? What do? I can't honestly remember. No, Gareth covers the inside, so I move out wide a little bit to try and get a better exit, but it didn't quite work out for me, and it's pretty much status quo on the exit of the corner. So I see Gareth go to the inside here. He's just compromised himself down the straight, so if I get a good exit from Coppice and try and get in the slipstream, I could have a go. However, there is a grey Honda in my rear view mirror, and I know that those things are quick in a straight line. And what's that following him? I think it's the Renault Clio, but I'm not 100% sure. And we come braking down for the S's. The Honda's made it through, the Renault's backed off, and look at that, I really attacked the chicane and actually end up closing up on the Honda again. There's a yellow flag on the right hand side. One of the white Hondas from the sharp end of the field has retired. But again, look at this in the mirror. The grey MG with the yellow wheels. Love those wheels. He went throwing it up the inside as he's entitled to do. I think this was the guy's first race. He's got his novice cross on the back, and he did come and say hello in the paddock afterwards because we did have a really good scrap actually. But I'm ever so sorry, I forgot your name. Please forgive me and come and say hello next time you're in the paddock, or I shall hunt you out and say hello again. Look at that old hairpin. We were really fast around the old hairpin. We'd really got it hooked up. The setup of the car, the shocks, the suspension settings, tyre pressures, etc. But the MG's just got that bit more power to drag up the hill here for McLean's corner. But again, in the corner, we're really good on the brakes and round the corner itself. So we managed to close the gap up again. Now, who's this in the rear view mirror? It looks like a silver Fiesta having a go on the inside of Coppice. Now, once upon a time, I might have let that guy have the corner, but we are racing for position, even though we're in a separate class to each other. And per my start being a bit more aggressive in the early parts of the races, I just shut the door. It's easy for him to pass me on the exit. Same here with the Renault. Look how hectic this gets. There's cars everywhere. Wow, I can't remember what happened as such, but it was hectic at the apex of the chicane. I ended up getting stuck behind, I think that's Jack in the Mazda in front of me. The MG comes flying past, and the Renault's still there in my rear view mirror. Dive to the inside, get rid of the Mazda. Wow, yeah, it was all going on. I can see Gareth and Jamie driving off into the distance, which is why I went for that little last minute dive down the inside of the RX-8. I think that was Jack, but forgive me if it wasn't. Again, get into the old hairpin, really good exit, push on, push on. I can't let Gareth get away. I think he's the third car ahead of me on the track at the moment. He's probably got about 6 seconds advantage at this stage. If you just do a quick bit of counting, you can figure it out. Now, again, you see the MG there. The reason I thought he might be novice, besides the cross, he was struggling a bit with his racing line on some of the more technical corners. McLean's previously, Coppice here. And again, look at that sun, absolutely blinding. It made it difficult to sort of focus on the car in front, because sometimes the glare from the top of their roof or the windscreen or even the mirrors, it was really causing issues. But again, attack the chicane, get a good exit, get blinded by the sun, listen for the revs. I mentioned about my helmet a minute ago. Last year's helmet is now out of date, so I had to get a new one over the winter, and we decided to go for one of the Stilo helmets because they've got built-in microphone and headphones so that I can hear Mark on the pit lane using the pit radio. The downside of the helmet is that it really does deaden the engine sound. It's a lot quieter for me in the car. So I was struggling initially to listen to the engine revs so that I could time my gear changes. I found myself looking at the rev counter a lot more than normal. I'm sure I will get used to that in time, but considering I've now only been wearing this helmet for 25 minutes of practice and about 5 minutes of the race, I am still getting used to it. Now, I'm a bit annoyed that I can't clear the MG, but it's okay. I can see Gareth is actually getting a bit closer to me, so I know that I'm catching him, and the MG is not really holding me up at this point. We're kind of matching each other like for like, which is great. There's just enough of a gap so that I don't have to brake unnecessarily. But here comes a Fiesta flying around the inside down the Starkey Straight, and this is where the leaders coming through can annoy us because we get on the brakes a lot later than they do. But thankfully on this occasion, again, not held up. In fact, closed a little bit on him through corner speed, but once he puts his foot down, he just runs off into the distance. So which lap have we just started now? Is it 3? Is it 4? I honestly don't know. When I was driving this race, everything felt like a blur. It was so fast and furious. It was absolutely frantic just from the green. Well, there was no green light because the red lights went off, but you know what I mean. It was a relentless pursuit. Gareth is now 2 cars ahead of me, but I can see he's getting held up, and look how much we close under braking for the old hairpin there and get a really good exit as well. Gareth is now being overtaken and he's the car in front, and I've got a good run on him. But I know he's good round this corner from lap 1. Do you remember when he went to the inside? He did it again there. He went very defensive. He didn't really have to because I wasn't planning to make a move there. I thought I was too far back. But the good thing is I'm now on his bumper, so we've managed to get a reset, if you like, after the traffic situation has settled down. Now the leaders haven't come through yet, so the faster cars that have been passing us were ones that qualified out of position. They might have had a problem in the morning session and ended up at the back of the grid when really they should be up at the front. But again, look here, the Fiesta, is it, had a problem in the S's. Again, that compromised Gareth and I managed to get right on his bumper. But here's the leader, Andrew Wimmill, in his Honda. I'm glad he caught us on the straight and we were able just to let him go. I say let him go like we had a choice in the matter. But there's a spinner on the outside of Redgate and Gareth gets a bit out of sorts. I go for the inside, I'm on the grass. Contact. Oh dear me. I was mindful of the fact that the car was in the gravel and there were yellow flags, but I also knew where the marshal's post was for the green, so I knew that the overtake was on, and I got up Gareth's inside. I think he was a bit unsighted. You know, obviously he saw the incident, he was being overtaken by a faster car. He might not have known I was there, or if he did, he might not have known how alongside. You could see from the little vibration, if you go back and watch the replay, that I was a wheel on the grass, and I certainly didn't want to go any more on the grass. I didn't want to get out of it because, like I say, this is 2024, John, and we don't back out of situations anymore. We use considered judgment, and in that situation I was confident if I kept my foot in, yeah, it might have been contact, but I had nowhere else to go. Gareth was absolutely fine about it when we spoke afterwards. He apologised for moving over, I apologised for not backing out of it. We got a little bit of panel damage on the left front wing and a few tyre marks, but really nothing to worry about at all. You could barely see the dents on the front wing actually once we'd polished off the tyre rubber after the race. Gareth though, he bent his tyre valve in that contact. But here we are, I've just spent about a lap talking about it. This was the scene of the incident, and Gareth's now got another 7, 8, possibly 9 car lengths on me. So it's chases back on again. It felt a bit Groundhog Day, this. Catch up to the back of Gareth, drop back from Gareth, catch up to him again, rinse and repeat if you like. Slow car on the left, one of the Mazda RX-8, ran wide at the old hairpin, got stuck in the gravel. Luckily, it didn't hold us up at all. I was able to keep full pace. I did see the yellow flags, but I could also see that the car was back on the circuit, even though moving slowly. So if any stewards are watching this, don't worry, everything was fine. Back up to Coppice, get a good exit for the long straight. I can't remember how far ahead Jamie is. Jamie was in second place at this point. Luke had run off into the distance, as he often does. Luke's a phenomenal driver. He's been winning championships since he was very small. I'm going to say in his teens. I don't know that for sure. Maybe him or his dad Barry could correct me. But Luke's won all sorts of karting championships, ex-Porsche racer, and he's been dominating in the Puma Cup for several years now. So he's run off. Jamie's in second, and Gareth and I are fighting here for the podium position, third place. So even though there are only 4 Pumas in the race, we're still having a really good scrap, and spoiler alert, it gets a heck of a lot better. But what's going on here? This orange Mini, I think he got off the power far too soon and far too much to let the leaders through, and he was bang on my line as I came round Craner. Now, I'm absolutely flat out committed round Craner curves, so the trajectory of me and my little car is set. I can't really do anything to change it. I can't steer to the right because I'd have ended up on the grass. I can't turn the car any more to the left because there's just no grip. The only option is to slow down. But if you slow down too much, you stand on the brakes, that pitches the weight to the front of the car, the back goes light, and you end up feeling like you're about to go into a spin. So seeing that Mini coming up was really quite a moment. I didn't have any options as to what I could do. I just had to brake as much as possible without losing the back end of the car, and luckily it was enough that we didn't make contact. But having caught up to Gareth, the situation with the Mini has now opened this gap up again, and it seems like it's a little bit bigger than it was the previous time. So get a good exit from Redgate, hit the apex, hit the throttle, get out of the corner tidy. I don't know if you can make out the lap delta on my little display. I use this opportunity actually. We've got a new display on the right hand side. You can see the 2 of them. The one on the left is my GPS timing logger. That shows me my lap times and my plus or minus delta to the fastest lap of this session. So I use that to pace myself. And the one on the right is a new timer. We used to have a little kitchen timer for the pit stops, but this one allows me to time 3 separate things. So the top number, which I can't read at the moment in this voiceover edit mode, that's the time remaining for the entire race, set to 40 minutes, and I pressed go on that when the rolling start happened. The one underneath it was counting down from 25 minutes. That tells me that I need to make my pit stop before that hits 0. We have to do the mandatory pit stop in the pit window, which is between 10 minutes into the race and do the maths, John. Between 10 minutes and 25 minutes of the race. There's 15 minutes where we have to make our stop. So I use that middle timer so that I don't miss my pit window. Look at me shutting the door on those guys again. Sorry boys, I know it must have been annoying, but if I let you through on the inside, I'm going to lose another second. If I let you through on the exit, I might lose a couple of tenths. So I have to be selfish because I'm in a battle of my own. We've all paid our entry fees. I know it is annoying for the leaders when they get held up by us, but I hope they understand it is equally annoying for us when we lose time because of them. So it's one of those. I have to sort of get my elbows out a bit, stick to my guns, and hope that the ebb and flow of the race will even everything out. speaking of ebb and flow, Gareth's been massively compromised by these three guys coming through. James Wilson in the silver Peugeot. James is lightning fast and a really nice guy too, so I hope he didn't mind about that. I'm now back on Gareth. I've got a little bit of a slipstream. I'm gaining slightly, but not enough to have a go up the inside into the is it the Schwantz curve? No, Schwantz curve is down the other side. Fogarty. I knew it was a motorbike racer. To me it'll always be the S's, but I've decided to pit because every time I catch up with Gareth, I end up stuck behind. I've not had an opportunity to make a move. So I think rather than be stuck behind him, I'll get into the pits to do my stop. But I can't see for the sun glaring through where Mark and Mike are. It was difficult to see the cars that were lined up in the garages to find a space to actually stop. But I'll shut up here and let you listen to the pit stop for a few minutes.
Yeah, got a little bit of dent on wing.
20 seconds! Go! Go, go, go! I've got away! Sorry. Just timing. I say listen to the pit stop, there wasn't a lot going on then. Mark handed me my drinks bottle, which was very, very appreciated. Mike was checking the wheel nuts and the tyre pressures on the front, and Mark also checked on the damage from that contact with Gareth Cotgrove earlier on, just to make sure it was okay. I hesitated coming out of the pits because I was keeping my eye on the timer, and I knew that from my box to the timing line was 12 seconds. So using the pit timer, which you can see flashing on the in the centre console right now, I set off on 12 seconds. Our actual pit stop time was 1 minute 31.4, so technically we lost 1.4 seconds, but in reality that's pretty good. We didn't want to be underneath the 90 seconds, otherwise you get a 30-second penalty plus the amount that you were under by, and in a race as tight as this, could not afford that. So we erred on the side of caution slightly and lost 1.4 in the process. The pit stop timing will come into play later in this race. I guess that's a bit of a spoiler alert, but if you're clever you can figure out what might have happened. But what I wanted to happen was that I come out onto the track in clear air so that I can hammer some laps in. I had to make sure my outlap was red hot, and it was pretty good. I was within about half a second of my PB once you factor in the pit lane speed limit for a fraction. I can't remember when Gareth pitted. He's actually in front of me right now, but he's a lap ahead. Donington is about a 90-second lap, so it stands to reason that if you're in the pits for 90 seconds, you feed back into the traffic pretty much where you left it. But Gareth is a lap ahead of me right now. But I've got a bit of space, so if I can close up and get on his bumper for when he stops and then nail another lap, there's a good chance I'll come out of the pits ahead of him. That was certainly the plan. It's a risky strategy because if there is a safety car between now and the end of the pit window, Gareth could take advantage of that and he'd end up absolutely miles in front of me. But I'm banking on the fact that everyone's in a bit of a rhythm now. Nobody is testing the limits of their car in quite the same way they might in qualifying. So it's been a steady race, everything's going well. I just have to hope and pray there is no safety car, because that would really, really ruin my day. Now, some of you will know that Donington is pretty much my favourite circuit out there. It's my local track. I'm about 45 minutes away from there, and all of my motorsport firsts have happened here. It was the first track that I ever came to spectate at, first track I got driven around, first track I marshalled at, first track I drove my own race car at. It wasn't the first race I ever did, that honour goes to Mallory Park, but I love this place. So let me talk you around the lap. First corner there, Redgate, I dropped to third gear, snatched fourth as we arrive over Hollywood. I have to change up to fifth at a really awkward moment, but pitch the car in, wait for it to settle and stamp on the throttle. On sun laps that's flat. The old hairpin is absolutely fantastic. It's such a fast sweepy corner, and you end up with that little dancey feeling on the car just as you go round the apex. Let Andrew Windmill through again, he's come round to lappers. We're still flat out up the hill here towards McLean's, down to fourth gear, take the right hander, again good exit. The camber's a bit strange there. We stay in fourth gear, up the hill into the braking zone to take Coppice, which is a blind double right corner. Squeeze through past that mini on the left hand side, and then we're flat out all the way down, to me, the Starkey Straight, and this is where the Dunlop Bridge used to be before they removed it and named the straight the Exhibition Straight. Down to third gear through the S's, which are actually called the Fogarty S's now, but I just prefer to call it the S's. And then we've got the Wheatcroft Straight, named in honour of Uncle Uncle Tom Wheatcroft, who bought Donington in the 70s. He was a builder by trade, bought the circuit in the 70s and did it back up to motorsport standard. There was no motorsport at Donington for many years after the Second World War, all the way through to I think 77 or 78 when the circuit reopened, and the layout is very much as it was back in the day. There's hardly anything changed. A lot of circuits in the UK have had chicanes added and this bit added and all sorts of things. The S's at the end of the lap have been reprofiled, but it was always a right-left flick there, just slightly different dimension to it now. I can't remember when they did that, maybe 15 years ago. But yeah, it's just such a great circuit. I really love it here. The racing, it's a parkland circuit. It follows the lay of the land. It goes up, it goes down, it's surrounded by grass, and I much prefer parkland circuits to the airfield ones like Silverstone, Croft. Snetterton's pretty good. I like driving around Snetterton, but a parkland circuit will always steal the day over an airfield circuit for me. So here we go, back on Gareth's bumper. Has he made his pit stop yet? I've lost track. I can't remember if when I was in the car I knew if he'd made his stop or not. It's so difficult to keep track of things, especially when with the feeding in and out of the pits putting you back where you started, in inverted commas. So I'm now thinking, you know what, who cares, just crack on. We've got both Pumas ahead. Actually, it's not Gareth, it's Jamie. Apologies. Jamie Clare is in the Puma directly in front of us, and Gareth is just ahead of him. And look at that, I got a really good run on Jamie through the old hairpin and managed to get alongside him and flat out up the hill, and he's just there in the rearview mirror. But I know Jamie, I know what he's like. He's a wily fox, and he'll have another go if he gets half a chance. So I have to cover off the inside to McLean's and defend like hell, because I know he's going to go for it. Up into Coppice now. There's yellow flags. There's a car in the gravel there. I hesitate. I did the right thing. I backed out of the throttle a little bit, having seen the yellow and seen the car there. But we're back under green flag now and flying up the inside. Is that the Toyota? I can't remember what that is. I think it's the Toyota. But we come into the S's. Everyone's got different braking zones. Everyone's got different corner speeds. It all gets a little bit hectic. The Mazda pulls over to the right to let the faster cars through. He must have realised at some point, oh, it's a Puma, he's not going to make it, and he comes back over to the line, and I'm not having any of that. I'm in too close a battle, so I dive down the inside. I can't afford to lose any more time to Gareth, and also with Jamie creeping on the back bumper. I can't afford for him to get any closer. Luckily, these three leaders in the tin tops all managed to overtake me without me losing too much time. This was a bit annoying. One comes up the inside of the old hairpin, and I managed to almost catch him on the exit, but it didn't really cost much. That said, Gareth has pulled away a little bit, but I've got a bit of breathing space in the rearview mirror to Jamie, so everything's okay for the time being. Keep driving round, hitting your marks, pushing like crazy. The lap times, I won't bother reading them out to you in script form because that would be really boring, but we did about 5 or 6 laps within half a second of each other. That's how intense it was, and also that's taken into account the ebb and flow of the leaders coming through as well. So it really was at 10/10 the whole way round. Back into the braking zone for the S's, down 2 gears, chuck it in, stamp on the throttle, hesitate on the exit a little bit because you can run wide there and lose all your traction, which compromises you all the way down the straight. The sun's starting to dip now, so it's not too bad when we're driving towards it. Still got a few issues, but did Gareth miss his apex there? There was one lap when he did. I can't remember if it was this one. No, I don't think it was. But look in the mirror. Is that Jamie again? You'll have to forgive me, when I'm doing these voiceovers, I only get to watch this in a little preview window. I don't get the full screen effect, and it's actually quite tricky for me to pick out some of the detail, which to you, watching on YouTube, potentially on a full screen, that detail might be blaringly obvious, but for me when I'm doing this it's not, and I have to go purely from memory from the race. Just to let you know, I never re-record any of these vocals. I never delete and go back and try again. I do take a couple of breaks halfway through or at certain points, but I'll never redo it, so it's always a sort of got that live feel, which I hope you enjoy. Now looking here, Gareth's been compromised by that back marker down the straight. I'm now in Gareth's slipstream, and I've got to get past this car before the braking, which I managed to do, but Gareth's a bit wobbly, so maybe I can get a good exit and have a crack up at Redgate. Unfortunately for Jamie, he got hampered on his exit, but that gives me a bit of breathing room, and it's so difficult to judge how much to defend versus how much to attack, because although it's a bit paradoxical, the more you attack, the more vulnerable you are to being attacked yourself, so you have to hit that compromise. Now I'm in the podium position here, which is a really great result. I can't see Luke in the distance, maybe he's that car just turning around the old hairpin now. What we found out after the race was that Luke had contact with one of the leaders and damaged his steering, which is why his lap times dropped off and he ended up coming back towards us, the chasing Puma pack. Now the red Honda, is that a Honda, tries to go up the outside, but I've got the inside here. I'm not going to sacrifice my corner, so yeah, just have to wait, I'm afraid, pal. I'm in a battle here. He does have another go up the inside of Coppice, and you can just see him in the driver cam. He's on the inside, and that again compromised me. Look how much Jamie's just closed up in the rear view mirror. He's now got himself back into slipstream, and he's just inching up. I don't know whether to defend to the inside or just hope that Jamie doesn't make a move, but he's super late on the brakes. He does make a move and managed to hang on, and look at that, oh my word. When Jamie got into my blind spot, I didn't know if he was still there or if he was going to back out of it and live to fight another day. So when I stamped my foot down to exit that corner, I didn't know where Jamie was, and luckily he decided to live to fight another day. But into Redgate again, I could have been compromised, but I had to shut the door. Jamie's thinking the same thing. He's not making life easy for these guys coming through either, and my paranoia now is that one of them's going to have a go at me into the old hairpin, which will compromise me all the way up the hill. Luckily I'm so good round the old hairpin, I'm gonna say it, and I know it's bragging, but I don't care. I had the old hairpin nailed this weekend. but that doesn't compensate for all the extra horsepower that some of the other cars have got. Prime example right now, one car up the inside, but we brake a bit later and they don't get to finish their move, which compromises our exit. And there you go, Jamie's gone from 5-6 car lengths behind to right on my bumper again. Now he will know from the last time where my braking point is for this chicane coming up. So Jamie is now thinking, I'm going to have John this time. I've got a good run, I've got the slipstream. I know he's going to go for it, but he just seems to stall a little bit, so I back off, take my line. Jamie outbrakes himself, the Honda gets in the way a little bit, and I manage to get the switch back. You can't see Jamie. Oh, there he is, just in the rear view mirror. He had to cut short the chicane there because the other car was in his way and couldn't let him rejoin the racetrack safely. So Jamie did the right thing. He cut the corner. He actually got the fastest lap of the race thanks to that. He was a little bit annoying because I actually got the fastest lap of the race when everything shook out, but Jamie was credited with it because although he cut the corner, the timing system didn't know that and gave him his lap time anyway. So I'm now in third place again. It's getting a bit hairy, isn't it? Jamie flying up the inside, me shutting the door on leaders coming through. At this point, Mark got on the radio, Mark Chappell that is, to tell me that these two guys, Jamie and Gareth, had both got time penalties applied to their cumulative race time because they short stopped. Both of their pit stops were sub 90 seconds, which you can't do. Timing at Donington can be very confusing in the pit lane because there are several white lines that denote different things. The one that we have to go to is the one with the sandwich board and the speed limit written on it, 60 kph in the pits. So either Jamie and Gareth were a bit too eager out of the box, maybe they travelled down the pit lane a bit faster than they thought, or maybe they set their timers at the wrong line. I don't know. It was a shame for them because obviously we're in a three-way battle here. I knew that they'd now got the time penalty, so I'm thinking, although I'm enjoying the wheel-to-wheel, it's not worth panel damage, it's not worth a potential DNF. So although I will continue to drive and drive hard, I'm not going to be absolutely 10 tenths anymore. That said, I can see that Luke Johnson he's in the first place Puma. He's coming back to us, and there can't be many more laps left of this race. And I don't know that Luke's got a problem. Maybe he's overcooked his tyres, maybe he's got a mechanical. As it turns out, he'd got that steering damage that I mentioned earlier. So I'm thinking I don't want to back out of things because maybe the wind's on if Luke's coming back that much. But if that situation presents itself, I'll deal with it. If I end up in a battle with Jamie and Gareth, I'm not going to go too nuts on it basically because it's not worth it. Here Jamie comes down to the chicane again, stuck it up the inside. Per the other laps I could have defended that harder, but with the knowledge that I've now got, it's not worth it. It's not worth risking everything when essentially I've got P2 in the bag here. Unless I lose 30 odd seconds to these two guys, I'm going to finish second. Now it's a bit of a strange one that, because having qualified fourth, to feel like I'm now on course for second place is a really good feeling. But I'm a racer, I want to go wheel to wheel, and you have to sort of temper that desire a little bit. Don't let the little chimp inside you take over, because it could end up costly. So my thinking now, I was actually on the radio to Mark wondering who got the fastest lap, so I thought if I'm not racing for position as such, maybe I could drop back a little and have an attack at the fastest lap, because that's always a nice thing to go home with. Nice little mover on the outside on that orange Mini again. Smart move that, pleased with that one. But whether Mark didn't hear me or thought better of it, he didn't give me the fastest lap information. I'm with hindsight and in retrospect, I'm actually pleased that he didn't, because if I'd have gone chasing that would have put me in the same position as I was trying to avoid, namely unnecessary risk. So here I am. I think we've got maybe 2, possibly 3 laps left. I'm honestly not sure. They do hang a last lap board out at the start line, but given where the sun was, I just couldn't see the thing. Look at Jamie and Gareth now going side by side into Redgate. I'm kind of glad that I'm not part of that, because it could have got nasty. I've dropped back enough so that I've got good visibility of those guys. If anything happens, I can react to it and not get collected in it. But at the same time, I don't want to drop too far back, because Luke is ahead of us in that blue and yellow Puma. We've got 4 Pumas in a row here right now, with less than 3-4 minutes of the race remaining. To have all Pumas within sight of each other is really quite something. So I'm really itchy. I kind of want to attack Jamie, but I kind of don't at the same time. I think, is Luke going to come back to us? These guys are fighting for the win, but they're not really, but they might not know it. There's a lot of psychology going on. There's a lot of strange dynamics to consider, and I'm trying to judge lap by lap what the gap is to Luke. Is he losing 1 second a lap? Is he losing 3 seconds a lap? Then trying to judge that with the gap. How much longer do we 3, Gareth, Jamie and myself, need in order to catch Luke? And as we came over the line this time, I'm doing maths in my head with very, very vague, not calculations, vague judgments of distance and closing gaps and stuff like that. And I'm thinking it's probably not going to happen. Anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does, to quote the late Great Murray Walker. Anything can happen in motorsport, and it usually does. So will Luke come back to the pack? Will he manage to maintain his gap? I don't know, but I don't want to have to fight my way past past Jamie, past Gareth, to have a chance at Luke. It's just not worth it. You can see in the rearview mirror now, we've got some more fast cars coming through, the leaders again, headlamps ablaze. That James in his Peugeot? Yep, it is. And now that's good. Make a nice clean move up the inside, don't compromise my braking, corner speed or exit. Perfect, James, thank you so much. If only all leaders could overtake us like that, that'd be great. Jamie a little bit compromised there, blue flags flashing on the left hand side to let us know that the leaders are coming through, as if we don't know. I'm not having a pop at the marshals there. I am a marshal and we love the Orange Army. We could not go racing without them. They spend lots and lots of hours out in the freezing cold. Oh my goodness, look how hectic this chicane is. Yeah, deep breath. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Anything can happen. We're getting on for the last couple of laps. I don't want to get involved in an incident there. 3 leaders coming through, 3 Pumas fighting for position, hectic as hell, and I just don't want to be there. I do want to be there, I don't want to be there. I love the wheel-to-wheel racing, but my goodness, it's intense. And those leaders, they don't half creep up on you. You just don't notice. They're in the mirror 1 second, right in the distance, and then the next second, they're right there on you, and you've either got to go out of the way, slam the door, feather the throttle. You have to make a very quick judgment call over what's best for everybody. You don't want to upset their race, but at the same time, you don't want to compromise your own. Now look at these two, they've just been scrapping like crazy through the Craners, the old hairpin and McLean's, and it's got me back onto the bumper. Is that Gareth or Jamie in front? I think it's Jamie, but look at that little wobble I had there. I think I took a bit too much curb on the inside and it just kicked Woodstock out to the outer lane, if you like. The outside of the circuit, we try to avoid it. You get what they call marbles. Now, oh hang on, what's going on here? Is this the one? No, must be the next lap. Sorry, you know something's going to happen on the next lap now. The outside of the circuit gets filled up with marbles. It's little bits of tyre, little bits of stone and gravel and general debris that gathers, and you end up with next to no grip on the outside. And look at that, I've got a cracking view of this. If only you could watch all motorsport from being right behind it. Look at these two side by side through Hollywood. Gareth's now tucking into the slipstream. He's going to be gutted. In his head, he's just lost second place. Look how his car squirreled round Craner. He's a little bit offline round the old hairpin and he misses the apex. I get a really good run and I'm thinking, I don't want to race this guy. There's no point racing. There's no point risking anything. Gareth and I have already come together and had contact in this race, and that was at the beginning when you give each other a bit more room for manoeuvre. At this end of the race, things are a lot more abrupt. There's a lot less after you, sir, if you like. So I don't want to get involved, but I've found myself back on Gareth's bumper. I think this is the last lap of the race. I can't see the timer on the console. Even if when I was in the car I looked down at the console and it was difficult to see on this part of the track with the sun shining towards us. But going into the chicane, look at that, Gareth misses his apex, compromises. I now get here alongside and I can see it is the last lap. I can see the checkered flag waving and I get alongside and I just nick it ahead of him. So I managed to take third place on the road by an absolute whisker. We had a special guest at the track this weekend, my godson Oliver Trimmingham, big fan of the toys, no, I nearly said Toy Story then, it's not Toy Story, it's Cars, where, what's his name, Lightning McQueen sticks his tongue out over the line. It was one of those moments, and yes, I stuck my tongue out, of course you do. It's one of those things. What a race. P2 on timing, P3 on the road. Just brilliant. There's the results. Luke Johnson hung on for the win. I'm not sure what the gap was in the end. I think it was about 4 or 5 seconds. And then myself, Gareth and Jamie, once the times had shaken out anyway. But yeah, absolute whisker over the line, and it was only their penalties. There's my mate Paul, came along to support. It was the first time he'd ever come to see us at the Puma Cup, and there's little Oliver sat in the car with the helmet on. He had a great day, and thanks ever so much for coming to support us, guys. Here's the trophy presentation. Charlotte, our club rep, on the left, and race winner Luke in the middle with his prize hat. What a race. I hope that this footage and I hope that my commentary over the top of it has done it justice. You'll know that we are Team Guroba at the moment. That is myself, Mark Chappell and Mike Brown mechanicking for us, but motorsport is for everyone. Team Guroba is for everyone. You are all Gurobans. Thank you for watching. By watching, liking the Facebook channel, subscribing to YouTube, commenting on the videos, coming to the track makes you part of the team. We are a collective. Everyone is involved. Thank you so much to everyone that does come to the track for support. Neil was there this weekend with his dad and his little boy Toby. Adam Davis marshalling down at post. Well, that was me waving to the Trimminghams up in the grandstand. I'm not sure little Lucy had such a great day, but I think Oliver did, and it was great to see Gemma as well. Thanks ever so much for watching, everybody. Do the usuals with the subscriptions and whatnot. I don't know when the next race will actually be because we've got some conflicts in the calendar and we haven't chosen yet, but when I know, I will let you know. Thank you very much and see you next time. Cheers, everybody.